Welcome to DMG Today on Channel 2 from Time Warner Cable. I'm WJER Radio's Morgan in the Morning. My friends call me Bill, what my enemies call me, we can't say not even on cable TV. This show, about 2 times a month, is going to explore events in and around Tuscarawas County. We are at the Canal Dover Festival on the streets of downtown Dover, and coming up in just a couple of minutes, as a part of our debut show, we'll talk with the president of the Dover Exchange Club, Kevin Corns, about the Canal Dover Festival itself.
Also coming up in today's show, we'll speak with Tammy Mackey-Schrum as we travel to historic Fort Lawrence to speak with her and some reenactors about what they do during the summer to really showcase Fort Lawrence and the historical site that we have here in the Valley. I'm Cheyenne Carroll.
And coming up as a part of this show as well, with the Memorial Day holiday having just passed, we're going to talk with one of the nation's heroes, a gentleman named Jim Mason, who was both at Pearl Harbor when that event took place and the U.S.'s involvement in the beginning of World War II for the U.S. and also invaded Normandy as a paratrooper for the U.S. military. It's all a part of our debut edition of DMG Today when it rolls on from the Canal Festival in downtown Dover on DMG Channel 2 from Time Warner Cable.
I think the hands-on aspect is going to give you an opportunity to explore, find out what you're good at, what you like, and you're not going to have mountains of debt. What you're going to have is a marketable skill that even if you don't love it, you can use that to pay to go on to college and get that degree. And we've got a number of students that do that. They're very mature. I think we're a great hands-on exploration base.
Hi, this is Heather, the Garden Girl, and I am so excited to be able to announce to you guys, the viewers, that I have now opened the Garden Girl shop. Well, where are you going to find me at? It's real easy. I'm located at 1881 7 Mile Drive, tucked in behind the Point Cafe. So come visit me Wednesday through Fridays from 10 to 6, Saturdays from 10 to 4, Sundays from 11 to 3. However, if you see the big garage door up, that means I'm here and you are always more than welcome to stop in. Also, don't forget my priority is educating you guys, so stay tuned for all my make and take workshops where you can come in, learn, get your hands dirty, and head home with your very own projects. Can't wait to see you.
Welcome back to DMG Today. I'm your host Cheyenne Carroll, joined by Bill Morgan. Coming up, we'll speak with Kevin Corns, and he is the president of the Dover Exchange Club, and they're putting on the Great Canal Festival here in Dover. But first, we have a game to play. Let's do it.
All right, now we got lucky number 11 versus lucky number 13. Raise your guns up out of the holder. Triggers back. Sound on the bell. We're on your ground. Who's gonna get it? Who's gonna win?
We're here at the Canal Dover Festival in Dover, and with us is the Dover Exchange Club president, Kevin Corns. And Kevin, tell us a little bit about the Dover Exchange Club and what it is that your organization does.
We're a community-based organization with our founding principles to help spread the word about child abuse prevention, and also helping out children in our community through different organizations, the schools, sports groups, and scholarships.
Right, so we are at the Canal Festival. Do you do other things as well to kind of raise money to help you do those things?
Yes, well, this is our Canal Festival, and it's our major fundraiser. We also do a spaghetti dinner in the fall, which helps support our fall programs. And then we do a chicken barbecue on Super Bowl Sunday every year, and it helps support, the last 3 years we've given to the Tuscarawas County Child Advocacy Center to help support their great cause.
Kevin Corns is the president of the Dover Exchange Club, and he is our guest on DMG Today. I'm Bill Morgan with Cheyenne Carroll. Kevin, how much planning goes into this? Obviously, you guys don't roll in here on Thursday afternoon and put this whole thing up.
We'll start planning on probably about Wednesday of next week to start. It's a year-long process. But after 35 years, you've kind of got it down. We're not the new kids on the block, so it's a lot of it changes, but it's a year-long planning process.
When you talk about your favorites here when it comes to food, now I know you're not going to pick one out because you've got to keep all the people happy, vendors and the fans of the Dover Exchange Club and the Canal Festival. What do you like when you've actually got time to eat during the festival?
Oh, when I spend 3 days here, it's like I spread it around, so each day is a little bit different. I always love the sausage sandwiches, the French fries, the waffles, and especially these hot days, ice cream is always a good item to throw in there.
Okay, well, if you missed the Canal Dover Festival, you're planning for next year already, but there's a lot of things that happen every single year. We talk about the food is always here, but your events, you always have the plate auction and the
Yes.
parade and things that people have really come to love.
Every Saturday, we kick off at noon with our annual parade. Features our Dover High School Marching Tornadoes, a lot of community groups, dance groups, and always have those fire trucks. It seems like to be, and I guess we have a lot of tow trucks coming around lately, getting into the parade and stuff. But it's always a great time. And during that parade, we kick it off with one of our national exchange programs about give a kid a flag to wave. It's all part about teaching the kids about the respect for the flag and Americanism programs. So we go out first and pass out all the little flags so they can wave their little American flags through the whole parade.
And in this episode, we are really highlighting Memorial Day, and that's something else that this festival is always Memorial Day weekend, right?
Yes, Memorial Day weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
The Dover Exchange Club hosting the Canal Dover Festival, and maybe, Kevin, a little bit of history on the festival in terms of how this thing got started to begin with.
Well, I was part of the club back in 1982, but this is our 35th year. We started in 1982. I do remember being in high school, graduated that year, and came down to the festival for the first time, and it's just kept growing every year after that. It's just members love coming out and helping, and we take the money we raise from here to help spread it back to the community. So it is a community fundraising that we give back into the kids organizations of the communities, helping with foster kids, Dover Dock kids at the Dover Middle School, and a lot of different reading programs with the library we support, and there's many, and especially our scholarships. The last couple of years we've been able to give out $10,000 worth of scholarships, and we're going to give it away again this year to Kent State Tusk campus to use as book scholarships for students that graduated from Dover or residents of Dover that went to attend Central Catholic or that are attending them.
DMG Channel 2 and DMG Today. This is our debut edition as we focus on events in and around the community. Kevin Corns, the president of the Dover Exchange Club, our guest. And Kevin, when we talk about the musical entertainment, obviously that is big every year at the Canal Dover Festival as well.
Oh yes, every night we have great bands on 2 stages. And also one of our crowd favorites every year, we kick off with the Dominic Greco season here at the Canal Dover Festival. We also have New Wave Nation usually shows up, and a lot of local bands we get involved with our festival every year to draw that local flavor into our crowds, and then we get big turnouts to support their local people.
And just standing here for a few moments, you can see the various people that come. You've got students, you've got teenagers and adults. Everyone really enjoys this festival.
Yes, Friday we get a lot of business people out from their offices and work and stuff to come out for lunch, because I mean it's a great variety of lunch to choose from.
Coming up as our debut edition of DMG Today on Channel 2 from Time Warner Cable continues, we'll continue to visit different areas around the festival and tell you more about the annual Canal Dover Festival from the Dover Exchange Club.
Myers & Miller Podiatry provides complete foot and ankle care to patients of all ages. The practice was established in 2000 by Dr. Adam Myers and has grown to include Dr. Andy Miller in 2007, Dr. Jason Bakich in 2010, and most recently Dr. Kristen Henry in 2015. Our core values of respect and honesty are the basis for how we manage our practice, and we continue to grow by building relationships with our patients in order to better serve their needs. Myers & Miller Podiatry serves Tuscarawas and Holmes counties with offices in Dover, Sugar Creek, Newcomerstown, Millersburg, and our newest location in Yorksville. Let's get started with building our relationship.
Well, I woke up to the sound of silence and cars. We're cutting like knives in a fist fight. And I found you with a tear in your eye, your head in the curtains and heart like the 4th of July.
You swore and said, we are not shining stars. This I know, I never said we are. If you're lost and alone, or you're sinking like a stone, carry on. May your past be the sound of your feet upon the ground. Carry on. Carry on, carry on. We are shining stars. Carry on, carry on. We are who we are.
DMG Today, continuing on DMG Channel 2 from Time Warner Cable. Our debut edition of this show at the Canal Dover Festival. We also had a chance to visit other places in and around Tuscarawas County, and with this being our Memorial Day week edition, chance to focus on the military, those who served the nation, and in other aspects as well. But before we take you up to Fort Lawrence, where Cheyenne Carroll had a chance to talk to a number of different people, including site director Tammy Mackey-Shrum, one of the reenactors, and in general about the history of Fort Lawrence, what would the Canal Dover Festival be without food? We are in front of the Wilbert Concessions, fried cheese on a stick, fried this and fried that, and while I could tell you all about it, it wouldn't be accurate reporting now, would it, without sampling. So what I got from the folks at Wilbert Concessions, fried cheese on a stick, mozzarella style. Here we go. Hot, delicious, absolutely wonderful.
I'm here with Tammy Mackey-Shrum, and Tammy is the site director for Historic Store in Fort Lawrence, and we are at Fort Lawrence. Tammy, tell me a little bit about Fort Lawrence and the history of this beautiful site.
Well, Fort Lawrence was actually Ohio's only Revolutionary War fort. It was built in 1778. They left here in 1779. They weren't here very long, but they had a really hard winter. It really wasn't the best place to be building a fort. You can see the fort outlined back behind us. Today we have a museum that houses artifacts that they found here on site during archaeological digs. We have some replicas of what the soldiers would have worn on all sides. So it's just a nice little museum. We try to do events and everything throughout the year. So.
And you had said behind us is the exact outline, correct? Tell me a little bit about that.
We don't have the fort anymore, but you have an outline that goes all around, and you can see two of the corners. The back half of the fort was taken out by the canal, but you can see at the edge of the canal where the fort starts to go into the canal. So it's just a really nice representation of where the fort used to be, and they found all of that during the archaeological digs of the 1970s.
And why is it so important for us to have this right here in Tuscarawas County and really showcase the history that we have?
Well, it is the only Revolutionary War fort that was ever built in Ohio, and the fact that it's right here in Tuscarawas County in all of our backyards, it's just a really special place to visit.
Again, Tammy Mackey-Shrum, she is the site director for Historic Zor and Fort Lawrence.
What a lot of people don't know about Fort Lawrence is that there are a number of presidential ties here, and sometimes we sort of call this the Fort of Presidents. We know that there was a Major Richard Taylor here from the 13th Virginia Regiment, who was the father of the future Zachary Taylor. Also during the campaign, coming out and helping to build Fort Lawrence, was a Captain Abraham Lincoln of the Rockingham County Militia. He was the great-grandfather and namesake of the future President Lincoln. And along with him was a young man who came out here with the York County Militia that helped build Fort Lawrence, who actually was the name of David McKinley, who turns out to be the great-great-grandfather of President William McKinley. Along with those three, there were two other officers here, both of which had the last name Harrison, but at this point in time, there has not been any connection found with the future President Harrison. But we know for sure that at least three future presidents had direct ties here to Fort Lawrence.
I'm joined by a Revolutionary War soldier here at Fort Lawrence. So tell me a little bit about your role in the war.
Well, I don't wear a fancy uniform because I'm a militia person. Militia is civilians, and I'm officially the Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania Militia, which was formed up just a little northeast of Fort Pitt, which was where Pittsburgh is now. And what I'm wearing is typical civilian clothing of Western Pennsylvania. And so what I carry is my musket, which is a 1763 French Charleville 69 caliber, which is about the same as what you people call a 16 gauge shotgun now. And carry a canteen with my water in. You can do without water, but you can't, or do without food, but you can't do without water. And my haversack here, when I left home, everything I owned was in this bag. And if I could have an extra pair of socks, good. Some food, fine. But when we were called out to join the troops, be for 3 months to 3 years, and the militia was formed up to protect the settlement, little people that had cabins around in little towns, and maybe there'd be 100 of us formed up to protect from Indian attack or British attack. But when Washington needed a battle, needed more soldiers, he would call upon the militia. And we wouldn't send everybody. We would send maybe a quarter. If we had 100, we'd send 25 out. The rest had to stay behind to protect the villages.
Hello everyone, I'm Ted Dudra. I'm a trustee in the Friends of Fort Lawrence Foundation, of which there are 11 of us are. We are the support group that are behind the Ohio Historical Connection that owns the site here at Fort Lawrence where I am today. There's a number of us who are reenactors, and I am dressed as a loyalist who would be against the Americans, because 1/3 of the United States was loyal to the Crown of England. We are here today where I am in front of the tomb of the unknown patriot. That individual, the remains were dug up first in 1973, and it was determined by the United States, similar to the tomb of the unknown soldier, which is in Washington, D.C., that has the remains of soldiers from each of the major wars that were never being able to be identified. That here was the case as well. The first soldier dug was buried in the crypt behind me, and it remains yet today. We have a wonderful ceremony on the 4th of July here, hosted by the Friends of Fort Lawrence and the Friends of Fort Lawrence Foundation, as well as the Ohio Historical Connection, to which we will lay wreaths around the tomb of the unknown patriot. And also at the end of July, we have the Sons of the American Revolution, which come from all over the state. Their chapters lay wreaths all around as well.
So now I'm with Megan Clevenger, and Megan is the Assistant Site Director here at Fort Lawrence. And Megan, reenactments are a big part of what Fort Lawrence is really about. Tell me about some of the reenactments that we can look forward to.
Well, we actually have one of Ohio's largest Revolutionary War reenactments right here in Bolivar. This year it's going to be on July 9th and 10th. It's a 2-day weekend. We have a lot of great activities planned. You can come and witness a mock Revolutionary War battle. We also have a Revolutionary War camp set up where people can come and experience camp life in the Revolution. And we also have a nice ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Patriot to kind of commemorate the sacrifices made by the soldiers who are here.
So really, history comes to life during the summer here, because students especially, they read about it in their textbooks, but maybe they don't understand. They can come right here to Fort Lawrence and see it for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. We host a lot of field trips during the year, and in that experience for the students, we try to make it as interactive as possible. And we invite reenactors to come in and give the students a tour of what life would have been like for the soldiers here at the fort.
Hi, this is Heather, the Garden Girl, and I am so excited to be able to announce to you guys, the viewers, that I have now opened the Garden Girl shop. Well, where are you going to find me at? It's real easy. I'm located at 1881 7 Mile Drive, tucked in behind the Point Cafe. So come visit me Wednesday through Fridays from 10 to 6, Saturdays from 10 to 4, Sundays from 11 to 3. However, if you see the big garage door up, that means I'm here, and you are always more than welcome to stop in. Also, don't forget, my priority is educating you guys, so stay tuned for all my make and take workshops where you can come in learn, get your hands dirty, and head home with your very own projects. Can't wait to see you.
Welcome back to DMG Today. I'm Cheyenne Carroll. My co-host Bill Morgan had a chance to sit down with Jim Mason, who is a veteran who lives in Walnut Creek now. During his military career, he was stationed in Honolulu when Pearl Harbor was attacked. Also, later in his career, he was a paratrooper who invaded Normandy.
The Saturday before they bombed us, there was a football game from Willamette, I believe, with the University of Hawaii. They played on Saturday. There was a large crowd there. One of the generals that was in charge of the command. See, Pearl Harbor, Fort Shafter, was the headquarters of American troops. And we all were there, thinking less of war, nothing about war. We were all having fun. And I suspect into the night, we never thought of war. I was a friend of the staff sergeant, and I was a staff sergeant too, who was supply sergeant. And he had a car, he was married, lived in a post, and he must have figured on doing some night work with his wife. They were married, and he asked me, will you take her to her job over to the airport? She sells tickets and is a clerk over there, and she needs to be to work at 7 o'clock. Says, now you pick up my car and you can take her over. So and we parked right in the driveway of the airport. And as I was backing out to let her off and take her things out, but a lot of planes come in from the east, and they were up in the air, and they fouling up and down Pearl Harbor and some of the surrounding areas. But so I turned around and tried to got back to my post at Fort Shafter while they were bombing it. But before we got out, we saw the planes burning and various other fires. There was a little woods between us and Hickam and Pearl Harbor. We were about a little more than 5 miles, I think. I haven't got the miles down. And they were bombing the ships. They didn't arm the airport. They worked on the ships, and some in Hickam Field on the ships that were in the harbor. And then Pearl Harbor, they worked on them three there. Well, we saw them burn, and the one that we just saw the smoke, I guess the smoke from Arizona that had 1,000 men drowned. As soon as myself and other people realized what was going on, they turned. I wanted to go back to Honolulu to Fort Shafter, where we were stationed. And see, we weren't ground zero because there was a small forest in between there, but we could see where the smoke was coming, and it was coming up black. And while we were standing there, a Japanese observation plane come over to look us over, and he was less than 200 feet. He's less than 200 feet up, and we could look and see his glasses. I could see his glasses. He didn't have, he may have had guns, but we didn't have any. See, they had us really read right, that they don't have any guns or ammunition out in the building somewhere. And they don't know where the key's at. Well, it wasn't that way, but we couldn't get any ammunition. But we could have shot that guy with a pistol. We didn't know anything about what was coming. We had to fill in the places. Now, like, we looked up there and they were bombing our church with the only bombing our men in the field. Well, Japan was logical. They didn't have to search for the enemy because they were right there. I took officers candidate school. I took an exam in there in Fort Shafter. We were laying there in our barracks, kind of goofing off. I mean, there was nowhere to probably go or something, but the rest was tell jokes. And well, two officers came over from Hickam, not Hickam, yeah, Hickam Field, came over where they were training paratroopers, and it was part of the infantry. Well, I don't know who said let's go, but I would have cut his throat if I'd have had him on a 10-day furlough that they sent me home. I was never spent so much. I was scared to death of my dad's barn roof.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of them said, well, let's go. So that's all had to be said. That's all. We talked a little more. But I enlisted there. They sent me home for a 10-day furlough and report back to parachute school. Churchill was to come to our outfit to give a speech. He and all the brass that they had, the English, the French, and there comes a large group, maybe about 20 of them. And Eisenhower, Winston Churchill, give us a speech. They had us camped up in the field. I think this is what it was camped up. They took our outfit over there and split it. Half of us jumped, the other half stood prayed, while Churchill and his group walked around. All the officers at Churchill watched the men jump, and then right after they jumped, they put us so they could go walk, present arms. And we were laying in there, half of our outfit, half of our regiment was there. And when Churchill came there in another car, but he had a Jeep. But he climbed up in this beach, and he was standing in the front seat, right at the front seat of the driver's side, right? He stood on the floor and looked up, and I was in the line of the troops lined up there, down from them looking at us. And our company commander says, all right, men, you can break troops and come up and hear the Prime Minister speak. So I knew this was going to be a declining moment for me to hear Churchill speak. So I didn't run up there. I was afraid to, because it might have put me in the back of the line or something, you know. But I got up there as quick as I could, and Churchill was standing in where people, right where they put their feet. He was standing in that between the seat and here on the floorboards, and he gave about a 5-minute speech. So I was standing right where I could untie his shoes, and he was standing there, and he started to speak, and there's tears running down his eyes. He says, men, the free world is in terrible war. And I may not say just exactly what it said, but I got the meaning of it. He says, and we're not winning. He says, but we can win if you fellows will commit to be true and do whatever commitment. He said something there. Well, tears running down his face, and in my heart they were running down my face, wasn't it? Because he had so much passion. as D-Day come, we became more serious. We knew that this was going to take the lives of many, and we loved our boys. I was a first lieutenant, and I had 14 men in my plane, and I lost 4 that I never saw again. I can see those men sitting in those seats, riding in those planes for about 6 hours, trying to fool the Germans. And they all, really, there was no time for any dirty jokes, any telling stories about your wives, you know, things that we passed time doing in peacetime. And I was standing up at the door to make sure no one run past the door, and everybody jumped out. I didn't weep any in front of my men, but I was reaping inside. I wondered myself, is this going to be my last jump? We were flying very, very low. They said it was less than 200 feet, but it was raining and the sky was red and with fire and planes and everything. I didn't see many planes come down, because really I was trying to take care of my own hide and my men. See, we jumped in an area. Well, it was a pretty big area, but we were scattered. You see, because as soon as a guy weighed more than someone else, he could go down faster than the other. We got together there, and we settled just outside of Carentan at the belt. Our mission was protect the bridge that goes up to Normandy, and to keep the Germans from blowing it up. The people coming by hitting the beach, they had captured quite a few men and sent them back to us, and we captured them about 150. Watched through the woods holding our hands up. But we just kept winning after that, you know.
Just wanting to be a police officer, I knew this was a great start, and it turned out to be a fantastic one.
Just be able to actually see what you're doing, what you're working on, and understand how you can take one thing and turn it into something else.
We got to creatively use skills and academics and see how we can place them into our fields.
It was pretty much I had the key to open the door, and that was from Buckeye.
We hope you've enjoyed today's episode of DMG Today here at the Canal Dover Festival. Coming up on our next episode, you'll want to tune in as I'll take a ride on a hot air balloon in Coshocton County at the Hot Air Balloon Festival. We'll also be at the Uricksville Water Park, maybe racing down slides, so we'll see who wins that. Bill, what do you have on tap?
Hopefully not in bathing suits. It is our summer edition the next time we visit, and as a part of that, we'll be at the Kent State Tuscarawas Performing Arts Center, and apparently Stan Bunting, one of our producers of the show, has got me dressing up in a Peter Pan costume and flying around the Performing Arts Center. I don't know if you'll want to see that or even think about it with the visual it provides, but it'll be a part of our next edition of DMG Today. Again, this is the debut edition with our magazine taking a look at events in and around Tuscarawas County. I'm Bill Morgan with Cheyenne Carroll right here on DMG Channel 2 from Time Warner Cable.